Hi, I'm Sukanya Ray Ghosh, the Associate Editor from Canadian Contractor, and today I have with me Jane Cameron from Design Home Build, and we are very excited to be interviewing her for Women in Construction special video feature. And I'm very excited to listen to Jane's story of her journey in this industry. So, on that note, I want to go back to right at the beginning. How did you get into this industry?
Um, Great. Well, my father was a builder, so I grew up in a household where there were sets of plans on the table, on the kitchen table, and
Yeah.
my brother and I were encouraged to go to job sites when we were very little and and help clean up. Um, and I think it was that early exposure to
Yeah.
seeing when my dad was building houses back in the 50s and 60s. He would drop plans and I would watch that process, and then going to see them being built was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And maybe as a child I didn't realize what was sinking in, but that was a great experience. Yeah, and always encouraged to, I spent a lot of time drawing and sketching things when I was a kid, and had some great high school teachers that were very encouraging in art and illustrating and drafting. And so, yeah, and then it was really my only option. As in my mind, it was a very easy career choice. And because it does you, and when you analyze how your brain works, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
So that's how I got started.
So, professionally, how long have you been in this industry?
Well, since 1978.
Oh,
Hmm.
16.
So I'm not even going to add that up.
So,
Long time.
no, that's actually wonderful because what we are looking for is, if you can inspire the new generation of young women to come into this industry and
Yes.
be part of it. So, like, where have you worked mostly? And I mean, how has your experiences been here?
Right out of university, I worked for large architectural firms in Toronto. So that was great experience. That was back in so this is before AutoCAD, before anything like that. So we were, drafting in big long rows of drafting tables. We used to call it the sweatshop. um, but it was great training, and it really hit home for me the attention to detail that you need to bring to every project. And so after working with some larger firms, then I started doing some projects on my own. I was always interested in residential work,
Yeah.
and always found great pleasure in helping homeowners solve their problems with their homes, and or building new ones. So I started working on my own. In 1997, I established my residential business, and really dove into it full time
Yeah.
after having four little children. So four children. So yeah, I took a hiatus to when they were very young. Yeah, yeah. And so then I've been working on my in my own business ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything particular that really stood out during your journey in this, and especially with your when you have been managing your own business?
Um, yeah, I guess the what I knew that I needed to take a slow and measured approach to building my business. And in from the early 90s through to, even the mid 2000, 15s, and there were some real dips and dives in the economy, and recessions. And so just sort of sitting back and being able to ride ride those waves through was a good learning trajectory for me. Not worrying about whether the next job is going to come in, because it always did.
Yes.
And I think just gradually in developing your ability to communicate to clients, and running the business end of things it's all sort of a gradual journey. When you go through school for architecture, you don't take a course on how to run your own business, right? And just pulling in some of the other associates that you need along the way, like a good bookkeeper and other people to help you with the management of your own business. I did get involved in some business women's group that was very encouraging and helpful. I think that was important in just the meeting other women who have their own businesses and learning about some of their challenges and sharing your own and problem solving, the getting through that problem solving of a lot of common issues would be coming up, and it was just an encouragement to know that you weren't alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any particular any particular challenges that you faced being a woman in the industry, in the construction
So
industry?
I thought that was an interesting question. I thought hard on this one, and I would say that as a woman,
Yeah.
it's a great benefit to be in this business, because I think because of my background and because growing up surrounded by builders and engineers, and sort of growing up with that, and then being trained in properly and really going through that process. I felt like people and my clients trusted me quite solidly about that I could perform and do their designs for them. A lot of times I heard a response like, I'm really glad I have a woman doing this design. In many circumstances, I was hired after my clients had fired someone else. And usually I would ask them why, and they said it's because they didn't listen. So I think generally speaking, I think you can. We can't generalize between the genders and how everybody thinks, but I really believe that women tend to listen quite carefully, and are detail oriented to solve the smallest little things that can drive you crazy if you're in a space. you're laughing because you're
Definitely.
You get that, right?
Of course.
Right. So being my gender has actually been a benefit, and I think there have been times when I would say maybe there is often a tension between a builder and the architect, right? But I don't think in my case that had anything to do with the fact that I was a woman, right? So I think that could have happened if I was a man. Doesn't matter, right? So yeah.
So the other side of the thing is although it has the industry is seeing more women entering into it, and it is becoming better and easier for women to work here without the additional challenges that probably they faced before. But it's still not 50% of the still the 50% of the construction industry is not women.
No.
So it's not the proper representation. So my question is like, how can we encourage more young girls to come into this? How can we sort of motivate them to show them the other side of the construction industry, something that's interesting and can help, with building amazing career paths?
Mm-hmm. Um, I would say that the just from my perspective, and if I could share, and I share this with many people about the thrill that you get
Yeah,
when whether you're designing something or whether you're building something,
yeah,
the thrill that you get when you've had that idea in your mind and it's rattling around in there, and you can see it and it's finished,
yeah,
and you know what it's going to look like, right? And then you go to the house when it's finished, and you walk in and you go and you see it finished, right? And you're walking through it. It's an absolute thrill. So, and I think that's, I don't know whether a lot of people can say that about their work when they finish, a spreadsheet about something, or do you know what I mean? Like, it's so if I would encourage young women who have, I think there definitely needs to have a technical bent in your brain, right? Like, a mathematical problem solving interest, right?
yeah,
Um, and it's all combined with creativity too.
yeah,
And I think there's a lot of people who have both of those attributes, and so this industry is a marvelous way to use
yeah.
those both sides of those. If that's two sides of the brain, I don't know, but just being able to use those skills and bring them together.
So, what I want to ask is, what message would you like to share with the women who are already in this industry, who are already doing incredible work, and also with the message for the young talent, young generation of talent that is decided to come in? So, what would you tell them? What advice would you have for them?
I have a little saying, and I said this, and I met a young woman at one of these business women's groups, and she was developing her own business, not in construction, but I could tell she was a little bit uh, nervous in this meeting about, just listening to everybody else. And
Yeah,
I turned to her and I said, are you okay? And she said, well, not really. And I knew what she was doing for her business. And I said to her, um, can I give you three bits of advice? And I said, do what you
yeah,
do it really well, and do it for a long time. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's any help. It's that long-term commitment to developing your skill,
yeah,
to that long-term commitment to making your mark. It's not an overnight success, and it's not immediate. And so I think the patience is a big part of it, and sort of looking at the long-term goal. This is where I want to be, 20 years from now, right? I guess if that's, yeah, think, and I know that there are many in the younger generation that maybe want things to move a little bit faster,
yeah,
but I guess, just really spend the time getting technically proficient,
yeah.
and honing your skills, and just, getting that experience behind you to use as a basis for helping your clients make decisions moving forward.
And given that you have such a tremendous amount of experience, and the best part is like you have been a part of this industry since childhood. uh,
Yes.
you have yes, you have literally grown up in this environment. So any moment, any particular moment or experience or anything that stands out the most for you, like resonates with you the most, anything?
The other thing that's really I just find thrilling, and that is I always ask my clients this question after the house is built. I
Yes.
say, would you do anything differently?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because and I really need to know that.
Yeah.
And so often I will get it'll be an email back or it'll be a phone conversation and it will be, no, right? Like there's this okay, is there, is there anything that's bugging me? So I think for me that I think that's the testament that I hope that I have listened carefully, and
Yeah.
I think that's the important part in success. As a designer in the construction industry, is just listening well, and I think that's for me, that's really the great response I love to hear when I at the end, right? So
Definitely.
yeah.
So, anything else that you would like to add to this subject?
And you mentioned earlier about the disproportionate number of women in the industry.
Yeah.
Um, I think I think that will change, and I think it's been slowly changing over time, and it is changing. Um, I think that there are I think women have an ability to adjust to changes in needs, and I think that's really important in this industry.
Yeah.
I think we the whole um, just being able to be flexible and that's I think that's so important, and I think that's where women can really be a great benefit in the industry.
That's absolutely perfect, Jean. And thank you so much for doing this video feature with us.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm really looking forward to the responses that we get from both men and women in the industry and how they, respond to the story.
Right, yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it too.